Great day, aspiring journalist. Welcome to Campus Journalism. You are now in the category of sports writing. Before we go any further into our main topic, let us briefly review what sports writing is. What is sports writing? Sports writing is a category under journalism and a form of creative nonfiction that covers sports, athletes, and other sports related issues. A journalist who reports on sports is called a sports writer. Now that we understand what sports writing is, let us move on to our main topic for today: sports news versus sports feature. These two are both essential forms of sports writing, but they serve different purposes, use different writing styles, and create different experiences for the readers. Let's explore their differences. First, what is sports news? Sports news is considered the most fundamental type of sports writing. It uses a straight news structure, which is the inverted pyramid. This article provides an overview of the game, like overall impact or results of a specific covered game. It usually includes who won or lost, the score, and key player actions or highlights. In simple terms, sports news reports facts and tells the readers what happened in the game in a clear and straightforward way. Moving on to the characteristics of sports news. First, sports news must be timely. This means it should be written and published immediately after the game or event. Writing it too late may make the news outdated and less credible. Second, it must be objective. As mentioned earlier, sports news is fact focused. This means personal opinions and emotions should not be included, only the verified and accurate information. Third, it should be concise. Sports news is short, direct, and easy to read. It does not include unnecessary details. Fourth, it follows the inverted pyramid, where the most important details are presented first in the lead and gradually move to less important details. And lastly, sports news must answer the 5 W's and 1 H: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Here's an example of sports news. Pathum Thani, Thailand. Unfazed by a boisterous home crowd, the Philippines defeated Thailand in a tightly contested final 5-3 at the Queen Seriket Sports Center here on Friday to keep the men's baseball championship at the 33rd Southeast Asian SEA Games 2025. This is an example of sports news written using a straight lead. The lead immediately tells the reader who won, who lost, the score, when and where the game happened. This makes it clear, factual, and informative. Next, what is a sports feature? Here are some important things you should know about sports feature writing. First, it provides viewers and readers with a distinct perspective. These are the probable details were not observed from the highlights they have seen on television. Second, this is considered as a preferred tool for professional sports writer. And third, it gives a different perspective of the game and the people involved. In simple terms, sports feature writing is different from sports news. It does not only answer the question, what happened? Instead, it explains why the event matters and how it feels. In other words, a sports feature adds meaning, emotion, and depth beyond straight news reporting. Moving on to the characteristics of sports feature writing. While sports news is factual, objective, and time bound, sports feature writing is not limited by time. It can be written before, during, or even after a sports event, allowing writers to explore stories beyond the final score. In addition, sports features follow a flexible structure. Unlike sports news, which relies on inverted pyramid, sports feature writing is more narrative and less rigid, giving the writer freedom to tell the story creatively. Moreover, sports features offer insight. They provide background information, deeper analyses, and personal angles to help readers understand the significance of the event or the people involved. Another key characteristic of sports feature writing is that it is human centered. It focuses on people, emotions, and the stories behind the sports rather than just the outcome or the score, as what is mentioned earlier. And finally, sports feature are descriptive and, of course, creative. They often use vivid imagery, storytelling techniques, and emotional descriptions, helping readers connect with the story on a deeper level. Here's an example of an actual sports feature lead involving the Queensland Reds and the rugby coach Tivita Colloid. It's the start of yet another season. The quiet of the night contrasts with the vibrant group gathered in the upper room of their local church, fervently praying. As the clock ticks closer towards midnight, the spiritual coach of the state's professional rugby team receives an impression from God. The last placed team he is mentoring will win the entire league this very year. It is a bold revelation, and he grapples with what to do with this. As you may notice, this example does not immediately mention scores or results, right? Instead, it begins by setting the scene and describing the background and emotions surrounding the event. Do you guys understand? Okay. Why both sports news and sports feature are important in campus journalism? Here's the answer. Sports news keeps the audience informed about results, achievements, and current events. Sports feature, on the other hand, adds depth by highlighting the human side of sports that readers can relate to. Both are essential because they inform the mind and touch the heart. At this point, I wanted to say congratulations. You have reached the end of my presentation on campus journalism under sports writing, sports news versus sports feature. Did you learn anything? If yes, then I'm glad to be your presenter on this topic. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'd love to answer them all. Before closing the video, let me leave you with this quote. Note that you can win or lose in anyone's story. But remember that you are your own champion and you can start to write your own victory. Once again, this is Almira Maluluyan, your reporter for the sports news versus sports feature. Keep on learning and you always stay safe.